Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and today I woke up to find out that Bambu Lab is now the subject of a lawsuit that is claiming patent infringement, a few different patent infringements, from a company called Stratasys Incorporated that is also a 3D printing company. Now, this is a good, fresh lawsuit that was filed in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division. So in this video, we're going to go through some of the allegations and I'm going to give you my 2 cents on them. Now, I am not a lawyer and I have no formal education that a lawyer would be required to go through to practice law. However, I can read and I have reading comprehension skills. So we're going to rely on that to get the gist of what's going on here. So here's a look at the paperwork that was filed. It was filed on August the 8th, 2024. It is 30 pages long, with the plaintiff being Stratasys Incorporated and the defendants being all of these different companies named here that's collectively being referred to as Bambu Lab or the defendant. So just a little background information on what's going on here for Stratasys. It says that they are one of the pioneers in the field of three-dimensional 3D printing technology, founded in 1988. They're a Delaware corporation with its place of business located, and that's their address. And then for some of these other parts, they're just going through the defendant names like you see here, and they're just basically saying the exact same thing each time on information and belief that the particular defendant is a company organized and existing under the laws of the People's Republic of China and blah, blah, blah. It pretty much does that for all of them. So let's just get to the nitty gritty of things. So here is count 1, U.S. patent number 9,421,713. Stratasys repeats and realleges each of the allegations in the foregoing paragraphs as if fully set forth herein. So here we go. On August 23rd, 2016, the United States Patent Office duly and lawfully issued that patent entitled "An Additive Manufacturing Method for Printing Three-Dimensional Parts with Purge Towers." By assignment duly recorded with the USPTO, Stratasys owns all substantial rights to the 713 patent, including the right to sue and recover damages for all infringement. So this patent relates to three-dimensional printing with purge towers. So if you're familiar with Bambu Lab printers and their AMS system, whenever you switch colors, the printer will make a prime tower, and that's just done to build up the pressure within the nozzle so that you can get some nice smooth color transitions with minimal bleeding on the actual model that you want to print. So Stratasys says they have a patent for that, and Bambu is violating that patent. And some of the language that you're going to continue to hear through all of these allegations is Bambu Lab has directly infringed and continues to directly infringe the 713 patent by using in the United States without authorization the accused products that practice the various claims of the patent, literally and under the doctrine of equivalence. The products include Bambu Lab's X1C, X1E, P1S, and P1P printers. As a non-limiting example, the accused 713 products meet every element of at least one of the 713 patent, literally under the doctrine of equivalence. Claim 1 recites a method for printing a three-dimensional part with an additive manufacturing system, the method comprising printing layers of the three-dimensional part and of a support structure for three-dimensional part from multiple print heads or deposition lines using a layer-based additive manufacturing technique. Let's skip this middle paragraph here, and it goes to performing a purge operation for each print head or deposition line switched to the operating mode. The purge operation comprising printing at least one purge tower in a layer by layer manner, wherein the layers of the at least one purge tower are printed from the print head or deposition line switched to the operating mode. When you get into all this legalese and the way that they talk, you know, I know it kind of just makes your brain want to pour out of your ears, but basically they're saying the purge tower belongs to us. Let's move to the second claim. So this is U.S. patent number 9,592,660. So in this one, it says on March 14th, 2017, the United States Patent Office duly and lawfully issued that patent for a heated build platform and system for three-dimensional printing methods. Stratasys says that they own all the rights to that patent, including the right to sue and recover damages. So here is what the claim recites. A build apparatus for printing a 3D object of thermoplastics employing additive manufacturing methods. The apparatus comprising a build platform with a temperature control unit configured to control heating of the build platform. A thermally conductive plate disposed adjacent to the build platform, and a polymer coating attached to the surface of a thermally conductive plate, which is capable of facilitating adhesion to the 3D object during printing, permitting removal of the 3D object once the 3D object has been formed and cooled without chemically or mechanically removing the polymer coating from the 3D object and without damaging the polymer coating, the thermally conductive plate, or the 3D object wherein the polymer coating is not polymer tape. So from what I can gather with this, it seems like they're suing over just the build platform in general because it heats. And then also the build plate that's on top of the build platform, you know, we take off and we flex and then it pops right off. They're saying that they own that too. Let's move on to the third allegation. U.S. patent number 7,555,307. So this is entitled Method for Building Three-Dimensional Objects with Extrusion-Based Layer Deposition Systems. That sounds really general. But let's take a look at what the claim says. A method of forming a three-dimensional object using an extrusion-based layer deposition system. This method comprising generating a build path for building a layer of the three-dimensional object with plurality of first deposition roads based on a first road with resolution wherein the build path defines a void region having dimensions that are smaller than the first road with resolution along at least one axis, and generating a remnant path in the void region for filling at least part of a cavity corresponding to the defined void region with the second deposition road based on deposition rates that are configured to vary based on the dimensions of the void region. That is a ton of word salad, but they broke it down a little bit in the next paragraph. So it says, for example, Bambu Lab makes offers to sell various extrusion-based layer deposition systems, i.e. 3D printers, including the X1C, X1E, P1S, P1P, and A1 and A1 Mini. So it says the 3D model of the 3D object to be printed is loaded into Bambu Studio and sliced to generate a 3MF file format that's used for the printer to do its thing. It says the Bambu Lab wiki describes the concept of wall distribution count as a parameter for adjusting the number of and width of walls. For example, the widths of a wall are modified to fill a void formed between other walls. And because of that, Bambu Lab thus directly infringed and continues to directly infringe each limitation of at least Claim 15 of the patent by using in the United States without authorization. Oh, they're not done. They're not done. There is another one. This is count 4 for patent number 9,168,698. And this one is for three-dimensional printer with a force detection. All right, so this patent generally relates to methods for detecting contact force against an extruder or other tool head of a three-dimensional printer. Claim 1 recites a method comprising identifying build instructions for fabricating an object and initiating a build using a three-dimensional printer comprising a fabrication tool and one or more sensors mechanically coupled to the fabrication tool. The one or more sensors configured to detect a current contact force between the fabrication tool and a separate structure. Detecting the current contact force based on a sensor signal from one or more sensors and creating a control signal to control at least one component of the three-dimensional printer in response to the current contact force while depositing material during the build. So what this means specifically for Bambu Lab printers is the force sensor that they use is used to detect a force caused by nozzle clumping the force of material that's clumped around the nozzle and being pushed against the print head, and to automatically stop a print job based on this detected force. And because of that, they're alleging Bambu Lab of infringing and continue to infringe upon their patent. So that was count 4. Count 5 is entitled Three-Dimensional Printer with Force Detection. And the claim is reciting a fabrication tool, including an extruder configured to extrude build material to fabricate an object during the build process, one or more sensors mechanically coupled to the extruder, wherein the one or more sensors are collectively operable to sense a contact force between the extruder and a separate structure distinct from the fabrication tool, and a controller configured to receive a signal from the one or more sensors on the extruder and to calculate the contact force between the extruder and the separate structure. So after reading through some of those allegations, it made me wonder, why sue Bambu Lab for this? In particular, when it comes to the build platform, having a heated build platform and then the build plate that goes on top of the build platform, because that is something that's used by a ton of companies that make 3D printers. So why single out Bambu Lab? Well, the biggest reason is obviously money. They want money in some regard. Maybe the hope from all of this is to get Bambu Lab to settle it, maybe come to an agreement on licensing for their patents or some sort of royalty agreement that they can get money from the sale of Bambu Lab printers. That's one side of things, but a much more malicious intent would be to try to put them out of business altogether. And why would they want to do that? Well, I would say it could be because Bambu Lab is one of, if not the most successful consumer-based 3D printing company out there right now, whose machines are so good and so reliable that more and more business owners that rely on 3D printing for their businesses are opting to have a fleet of Bambu Lab printers to get done what they need to have done, as opposed to going to a company like Stratasys for their FDM printing needs that is far, far more expensive. Take a look at the Stratasys website. So yeah, it's a pretty cool looking website, but here's the thing. Whenever you go to a website that sells things and you can't see prices and they tell you to get a quote, that usually means that their stuff is super expensive, more expensive than regular people like you and me will ever be able to afford without, coming into a lot of money somehow. So you can request a quote for a 3D printer because they are expensive. How expensive are they? Well, let's take a look at the third-party market. So I went over to cncmachines.com to see how much Stratasys printers typically go for. Look at this. $18,500 for the F370, $17,500 for the 250 MC, $21,000 for this 370 right here, $4,500, $55,000, $4,500, $11,500, $10,000, $11,500, $14,000. So these are not affordable 3D printers that you would put inside of your home. And when a company like Bambu Lab comes out and have printers that are much smaller than this, that can go faster and produce better quality and even multicolor stuff, you can get a bunch of P1Ss or X1Cs and line up an entire rack of 3D printers as opposed to paying Stratasys, $14,000 for just one of theirs. So that could be a way to just kind of make up on any potential losses they feel that they are receiving as the result of Bambu Lab coming in and eating their lunch, basically. So are there going to be any more lawsuits from Stratasys against these other companies for infringing upon their heated build platform or the Purge tower? Know that the Anycubic Cobra 3 and the Ace Pro that uses a Purge tower for the multicolor printing and switching the colors. The Creality K2 Plus is not out yet, but I'm assuming that's also going to use a Purge tower. But what about the whole force detection and being able to detect clumping? lawsuits for everybody, maybe. I mean, only time will tell. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. But so is this something that you should worry about right now as a consumer? I would say no, not right now, because this is something that just got filed. It just got filed like 24 hours ago from when I record this. And the wheels of justice move slowly, especially when you got some good lawyers involved. They can delay. And then once an agreement is made or judgment is made, there can be appeals and appeals to the appeals. And this law stuff takes a good long while when you're not a regular person. If you're a business or if you're someone with a lot of money, you can push things down the line a long way. But I don't think it's something to worry about right now, but it is something to just sort of keep an eye on periodically to see what happens. So let me know down in the comments what you think about this lawsuit. Do you think that it is just? Do you think that this is just an abuse of the US patent system? And what do you think about Stratasys doing this? Definitely curious to know your thoughts about that. So I'll keep an eye on this, and if there's any developments that are big in the future, I'll be sure to let you know. But until then, be sure to subscribe so that you will know if and when that happens. So until then, take care of yourselves. I'll speak to you soon.